My brother was poisoning my son, so I installed hidden cameras. I'm Rachel Torres, 38 years old, divorced, mother to a 7-year-old boy named Wyatt. I flew back into Seattle Thursday evening after 5 days in Chicago for a conference. Pulled into our Ballard driveway around 7:30. The porch light was flickering like always. Wyatt met me at the door. His face looked wrong. Hollow eyes, paper-thin skin. "Mama," he whispered. "Uncle Derek gives me medicine that makes me sick. Can I stop?" Before I could answer, my younger brother Derek appeared from the hallway. Big grin, arms wide, his exaggerating "Ratch, it's just supplements. Organic stuff, helps him sleep." My mother emerged from the guest room. "Listen to your brother, honey. He's been wonderful with Wyatt while you're traveling." My father glanced up from his recliner. "Someone has to be here. You're gone 3 weeks a month." They all looked at each other. That same quick exchange I'd noticed for weeks. Wyatt squeezed my fingers until they hurt. That night, after everyone went to bed, I searched Derek's bathroom. Top cabinet. Behind the toilet paper. Small amber bottle. No pharmacy label. Just a strip of duct tape with marker of sleep support. I unscrewed the cap. The smell punched me in the face. Sharp, medical, antihistamine stench. My chest tightened. If you're reading this right now, drop a comment and tell me what city you're in. Knowing someone else sees this keeps me from falling apart. Access, because what happened next changed everything. I didn't sleep. Sat on Wyatt's floor all night with that bottle in my lap. Watching him breathe. Counting each inhale. At 6 in the morning, I woke him gently. "We're going to see a doctor, baby. Just a checkup." 20 minutes later, we were at Swedish Medical Center in Ballard. Dr. Padel saw Wyatt's pale lips and glassy stare and immediately ordered blood work. No questions. Just action. They kept him in pediatric observation. I paced the waiting room holding that unmarked bottle like a weapon. 4 hours later, Dr. Patel called me into a private office. She slid the lab results across the desk. "Just 100 and 300 ng litis. That's 9 times the safe adult threshold," she said quietly. "For a 7-year-old, repeated exposure at this level causes brain damage, memory, focus, processing speed." Her eyes didn't blink. "Someone has been sedating your child with prescription, strength sleep medication." My knees buckled. Dr. Petal picked up the phone. Called Child Protective Services herself. Then hospital security. A social worker and a King County officer arrived within 15 minutes. I handed over the bottle. Dr. Patel gave them the lab report in a sealed evidence bag. The officer photographed everything on the spot. The social worker told me Wyatt would remain admitted for 48 hours. Full toxicology workup. Documentation of exposure timeline. Patel slipped me a second copy of the report. "Keep this somewhere safe," she said under her breath. "You'll need it." I drove home in silence. Walked in around 4. Derek was sprawled on the couch scrolling Instagram. Mom folding towels. Dad watching the Mariners game. I dropped my purse, walked to the coffee table, set the lab report face up. Derek sat up slowly. Mom froze mid-fold. Dad muted the TV. Derek reached for it first. His face drained of color. Dad snatched it next. "Lab mistake," he muttered. "Happens constantly." Mom moved behind Derek, hands on his shoulders. "Sweetheart, you were just trying to help the boy rest. Doctors overreact to everything." Derek's voice cracked. "It's herbal. Rachel's being paranoid." I kept my voice flat. "CPS already knows. Police have the bottle. This isn't disappearing." Silence. Then Dad leaned forward. "You're willing to tear this family apart over a misunderstanding." A mom's grip tightened on Derek. "Think about Wyatt. All this drama isn't healthy for him." Derek wiped his eyes. But I saw the calculation behind the tears. Dad glanced at Mom, gave the smallest shake of his head. "I say nothing." I turned and went upstairs. Behind me, I heard Dad whisper, "She'll cool off. Just wait." I locked my bedroom door and started uploading every photo to an encrypted cloud account. 2 Sunday morning, they all left for brunch. Dad's SUV disappeared down the block toward the waterfront. I waited 5 minutes, then moved. I'd ordered 4 wireless cameras from Amazon the night before. Same-day delivery. Small, white, mounted flush with the ceiling. First one basement, wide angle, covering the entire rec room. Second corner near the minute ridge, catching the staircase and door. Third living room, tucked into crown molding, aimed at the front door and hallway. Fourth upstairs hall, perfect view of every bedroom entrance, no wires, No blinking LEDs, 6-month battery life. I paired them to a new account, changed the password to something only I knew, motion alerts. 24/7 cloud recording. By the time the garage door rumbled open again, every camera was live and invisible. Monday morning, I dropped Wyatt at school and drove downtown like nothing had changed. At 9:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion alerty. Front door. Derek opened the door in sweatpants and a hoodie. A man I'd never seen stood on the porch. Dark hair, leather jacket, 2 coffee cups from Slate Coffee on Pine Street. Derek took the coffee, kissed him. Hard, right there in the doorway. Then pulled him inside. They disappeared down the basement stairs. I switched camera feeds. The basement camera caught everything in perfect HD. Derek set the coffees down, pushed the man onto the couch, climbed onto his lap. They kissed like they'd been waiting weeks. The man laughed when Derek whispered something in his ear. Derek tugged off the jacket, let it drop, reached for the remote and turned on the string lights he'd hung last month. The glow made it look staged, intimate, rehearsed. He glanced up once. Right at the ceiling. Right at the lens he didn't know existed. And smirked. Tuesday. Same man, same coffee. 10:52 a.m. This time Derek had music playing. They danced slow in the middle of the room, wine glasses already in hand. Wednesday. The man showed up at noon with Thai takeout. They ate cross-legged on the floor, feeding each other, laughing at jokes I couldn't hear. Thursday. He walked in at 9:37 carrying a black duffel bag. Derek locked the door behind him, took the bag, led him downstairs. The duffel stayed there all day. Every morning I sat at my desk pretending to work while the second monitor showed my own house being used like a hotel. I saved every clip. Time-stamped, encrypted folder. My pulse never slowed. By Thursday night I had 40 hours of footage and still no audio of what they were actually planning. But the pattern was undeniable. The house was theirs the moment my car left. Friday. I didn't go inside after work. I parked 2 blocks away under a row of dripping fir trees, cracked the window, opened my laptop on the steering wheel. Rain hammered the roof. At 8:23 a.m., the man walked in, 2 coffees, small paper bag. Derek met him at the door wearing nothing but an oversized flannel shirt. My flannel shirt pulled him straight downstairs. I switched to the basement feed. Derek set the coffees down, flicked on the string lights, pushed the man onto the couch. The man laughed. Your sister definitely won't be back until 6, right? Derek climbed onto his lap. We've got all day. He kissed him slow, then pulled back just enough for the camera to catch every word.
Yes.
Everything's going exactly as planned, babe. Wyatt bombed another reading test last week. School already flagged him for learning disabilities. Another few weeks of this dosage and no doctor will question a developmental disorder diagnosis. The man traced the necklace around Derek's throat, one I'd never seen before. And then, Seskas. Then mom and dad file for emergency custody of a cognitively impaired child. Washington state law is clear. If the parent is absent and the child has special needs, the court awards custody to family. Once they control Wyatt, they control his trust fund. Half the equity in this house came from his father's death benefit. That money was earmarked for his future. Guardians decide what future means. Derek smiled like he was describing a vacation. We sell the house. Pay off dad's $60,000 gambling debt from that Reno trip. Give mom and dad a cushion. And the rest, ours.
Secus.
Rachel keeps her job in her suitcase. The man raised an eyebrow. Your parents are really okay with this? Derek laughed. Dad's desperate. Mom's always picked me anyway. They've been complaining for months about how unfair it is that I'm broke, while Rachel got the house in the divorce. He reached for his phone. Showed the screen. Custom my banking app. I still logged in because I'd trusted him with a secondary card for groceries. He turned it toward the man. AZ 5800 to Robbins Jewelers, Audemars Piguet. Happy anniversary, baby. The man kissed him hard enough that the couch creaked. You're insane. I love you. Derek laughed against his mouth. Just wait until the sale closes. I sat in the dark car, rain streaking the windshield. I replayed the clip 6 times to be sure I hadn't imagined it. Every word was crystal clear. I screen recorded the entire conversation, then pulled up my transaction history. The charge had posted Tuesday at 3:41 p.m. Notification sent to an old Gmail account I'd abandoned after the divorce. The one still linked to the card because I'd never updated it. Later that night, after Wyatt was asleep, the hallway camera caught Mom and Dad in the kitchen. Long after they thought everyone was in bed, Dad poured 2 glasses of whiskey. Voice low. Soon as we get the neuropsych evaluation, we file. I already spoke to the attorney in Tacoma. Rachel travels constantly, works constantly, textbook neglect. Judge will side with family. Guston. Mom nodded, twisting her wedding ring. Derek deserves this house anyway. He's the one who's been here every single day. Hey, Dad clinked his glass against hers. As to new beginnings, I saved that clip too. Labeled it Kitchen Derzotus and added it to the encrypted drive. My hands were ice cold, but steady. Saturday morning, I walked into the kitchen while they were eating breakfast. I set my phone on the counter. Screen up, volume maxed, and hit play on the basement clip. Derek's voice filled the room. Once they control Wyatt, they control his trust fund. Rachel keeps her job and her suitcase. Spoons froze mid-air. Color drained from every face. I let it run. I walked through the front door at 30:19 p.m. The smell of garlic and butter hit me first. Mom stood at the stove stirring pasta. Dad was slicing bread. From the basement came music and Derek's unmistakable laugh. I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, pulled out my phone. 1 tap. Volume max. The Thursday clip started playing through the built-in-house speakers I'd connected to the same network as the cameras. Derek's voice boomed through every room. Court approved sale for care purposes. Dad pays off his gambling debt. Mom gets her retirement fund. And we walk away with the rest. The wooden spoon clattered into the pot. Mom spun around. Sauce splattered the backsplash. Dad's knife froze mid-air. Heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs. Derek burst into the kitchen first. The man half a step behind. Shirt untucked, cheeks flushed. Derek saw the phone in my hand. The blood drained from his face. Dad recovered first. Turn that off. Now. The mom's hand flew to her mouth. Rachel, you recorded your own family. I didn't move. The clip kept playing. Dad's midnight whiskey toast. Mom's quiet agreement. Every syllable echoed off the vaulted ceiling. Derek lunged for the phone. I lifted it higher. Touch me and it goes straight to the King County Sheriff. The man shifted toward the back door. Eyes darting. Derek grabbed his wrist. You're not leaving me here. Dade's face turned purple. You have no right to spy on us in our own house. This is my house, I said, voice calm, deadly. My name on the deed. My son you've been poisoning. My life you plan to sell. Mom started sobbing. Big dramatic tears. We were only trying to secure everyone's future. Derek's voice cracked. You're never here. I've been the one raising him while you chased promotions in Chicago. Dad slammed the knife down. You call the police and you destroy 4 lives. Think about Wyatt, you want him taken by strangers. I met his stare. I am thinking about Wyatt, that's why this ends right now. The man tried again, quieter. Derek, I really think. Derek whipped around. We're in this together. You promised. He looked at me, then at the floor, and took 1 slow step back. Derek's grip tightened until his knuckles went white. You coward. Mom moved between us, arms spread like a shield.
Ratch baby, we're blood.
Let's talk this out. Nobody has to get hurt, I laughed. Short, sharp, humorless. Blood doesn't drug a 7-year-old for profit. Dad took a threatening step forward. You report this and we'll fight you in court for years. We'll say you fabricated everything. Who do you think the judge will believe? Grandparents who've been here every day, or the mother who's gone half the month? Derek's eyes narrowed. And when they dig into your travel schedule, your overtime, your canceled babysitters, good luck keeping custody. A mom nodded through tears. We only want what's best for the boy. I looked at the 3 people who raised me, who shared holidays and birthdays and funerals, and felt the last thread snap. You want what's best for yourselves, I said, and you just confessed to it on camera. Dad's fists clenched. You'll regret this. Mom collapsed into a chair, wailing. My own daughter, Derek screamed. This house should have been mine anyway! The man finally broke free, bolted for the back door. The screen slammed behind him. I raised the phone, ended the recording, and dialed 911 in front of them. Cease 911. What's your emergency? I kept my eyes on my family. I need officers and child protective services at 8421 UNW Greenwood Avenue, Ballard. My son has been poisoned by relatives attempting to steal his inheritance. I have video and audio evidence. Derek lunged. Dad grabbed his arm. Mom kept crying. The dispatcher stayed calm. Units are en route, ma'am. Stay on the line. I hung up only when I heard sirens 3 blocks away. The first patrol car rolled up exactly 9 minutes later, lights cutting through the drizzle. A second unit followed, then an unmarked CPS sedan. 2 officers stepped onto the porch. The social worker hung back, taking notes. I met them at the door. USB drive already in my hand, phone recording everything. I walked the lead officer, Sergeant Kim, straight to the living room. Dad stood rigid by the couch. Mom clutched tissues. Derek paced like a caged animal, mascara streaking. I handed over the drive. 34 video files, 14 audio, all time-stamped, child endangerment, conspiracy to commit guardianship fraud, attempted theft of a minor's trust fund. Everything you need is on here. Sergeant Kim plugged the USB into his tablet. The Thursday clip started playing on the big screen I'd connected minutes earlier. Derek's voice filled the room again. Court-approved sale for care purposes. A dad lunged for the remote. The second officer blocked him without effort. The social worker, Ms. Park, knelt beside Wyatt, who had wandered downstairs clutching his stuffed orca. She spoke softly, asked simple questions. He answered in a small voice. Uncle Derek makes me take the white pills when Mama's gone. They make my head fuzzy. Ms. Park's face hardened. She stood. We're transporting the minor for immediate medical evaluation. Swedish Medical has a bed ready. Derek screamed. You can't take him. Sergeant Kim calmly read him his rights. Cuffing wasn't needed yet. He wasn't running. Dad tried to argue jurisdiction. Mom collapsed into a dining chair, sobbing into her hands. I signed the temporary safety plan on the spot. Wyatt hugged me tight, whispering, Are you coming with me? Every second, buddy? While the officers secured the scene, I pulled the printed deed from my office drawer, recorded King County 2017. My name only. I showed Sergeant Kim. This property is solely mine. I'm exercising my legal right to revoke residency privileges for Derek Torres, Margaret Torres, and Paul Torres. Effective immediately, Dade's mouth opened, closed. For the first time in my life, he had nothing to say. Sergeant Kim nodded. We can stand by while they collect essentials. 24 hours to vacate fully. After that, it's trespassing. Ms. Park took Wyatt by the hand. I grabbed his overnight bag and followed them to the CPS car. Derek tried to run after us. An officer gently blocked his path. His scream echoed down the street as we pulled away. 2 at the hospital, they drew new blood, ran a fresh tox screen, admitted Wyatt to pediatrics for observation. By midnight, the on-call judge signed the emergency protective order over video link. A second no contact between Wyatt and the 3 named adults for 90 days minimum. Review scheduled within 7 days. Probable extension to 5 years with automatic renewal if risk persists. I sat in the vinyl chair beside Wyatt's bed, holding his hand while he slept under warm blankets. For the first time in weeks, without chemical fog, the nurse brought me a blanket too. I wrapped it around my shoulders and stared at the monitor, beeping steady and strong. 2 back home, the officers oversaw the packing. Dad carried out 2 suitcases in silence. Mom followed with a laundry basket of clothes. Eyes swollen, Derek refused to pack at first. Sat on the basement couch screaming that everything was his by right. Eventually, the officers explained he could leave voluntarily or be removed. He left with 1 duffel and his phone, slamming the door so hard the front window rattled. By 2 in the morning, the house was empty, except for the faint smell of garlic still lingering in the air, and the quiet I hadn't heard in months. I changed every lock the next morning before Wyatt came home. The emergency hearing took place in courtroom 5 of the King County Family Court building in Seattle. I walked in with my attorney, Vanessa Chen, at my side, Wyatt holding my hand tight. The room smelled of old wood and floor polish. Derek sat at the respondent table, flanked by a public defender who looked barely 25. Mom and Dad sat directly behind him in the gallery. Dressed like they were attending a wake, Judge Maria Ruiz entered, black robe, sharp gray hair pulled back. She wasted no time. This is an RCW 26.44, Yo 50 Emergency Protective Custody Review. Miss Chen, you may proceed. Vanessa stood. Your Honor, we're requesting continuation of the emergency order, conversion to a 5-year restraining order with automatic renewal, and civil damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress and medical endangerment. She clicked the remote. The big screen lit up with the basement clip. Derek's voice. clear as glass. Once they're appointed conservators, the house is the biggest asset. We liquidate. The public defender objected to chain of custody. Judge Ruiz overruled. I've reviewed the forensic report from King County Digital Forensics. Chain is intact. Next came the kitchen midnight clip. Dad's whiskey toast. Mom covered her face. Dad stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. Vanessa called Dr. Patel to the stand. Dr. Patel laid out the toxicology reports, the projected permanent cognitive risk. She stated flatly, this was deliberate, repeated administration of a Schedule IV controlled substance to a minor without medical justification. It meets the definition of child abuse under Washington law. The public defender tried to paint me as an absentee parent. Vanessa countered with my travel logs, childcare contracts, Wyatt's perfect attendance record until the poisoning began. Derek took the stand last. He cried, claimed the pills were herbal sleep aids, insisted he only wanted to help. The judge asked one question. Why is there no label, no dosage instruction, and no prescription record? Derek had no answer. Mom and Dad refused to testify after the judge warned them about perjury. Their silence spoke louder than words. Judge Ruiz returned after 30 minutes. The court finds clear and convincing evidence of immediate danger to the child's physical and emotional welfare. The emergency order is converted to a permanent protective order under RCW 2650-760. Derek Torres, Margaret Torres, and Paul Torres are prohibited from any contact with Wyatt Torres for 5 years, renewable automatically upon showing of continued risk. Civil judgment is entered against Derek Torres in the amount of 62 zalzers for medical costs, therapy, and pain and suffering. CPS will continue its parallel criminal investigation. As she banged the gavel, Derek collapsed forward, sobbing into his arms. Mom reached for him, then thought better and sat back down. Dad just stared at the floor. We walked out into the hallway. Wyatt hugged my leg. Are we safe now, Mama? I knelt, looked him in the eye. Completely. Some 1 week later, the daycare center where Derek had worked for 4 years received the official CPS substantiation letter. Washington state law requires immediate termination for any founded child abuse finding against an employee. His personnel file was flagged permanently. No licensed child care center in the state would touch him again. I filed the civil judgment the same day. Collection started 45 days later. 2 November sunlight poured through the new skylight I had installed in the upstairs hallway. The one Wyatt picked out himself from the catalog. He turned 8 last month. 8 candles on a chocolate cake shaped like the Seahawks logo. He blew them all out in one breath. Cheeks pink. Eyes bright. No trace of the fog that used to cloud them. Ballard looks exactly the same from the street, but inside everything is different. Fresh paint in soft grays and whites, new locks, new alarm code, new doorbell camera. The trust I set up for Wyatt is now irrevocable until he turns 18. Washington Law RCW 1198-9. The house equity that once belonged to his father's death benefit sits safely inside it. Managed by a bonded fiduciary I chose myself. No relative, no court. No one can touch a penny without my signature and a judge's order. 2 Derek lives in a 350 square foot studio off Aurora Avenue. The kind of place where the walls are thin and the parking lot smells like fried fish. The civil judgment hangs over him like a storm cloud. The 62,000 plus interest wage garnishment started 2 months ago. 15% of every paycheck disappears before he even sees it. The daycare license is permanently revoked. He works nights stocking shelves at a 24-hour grocery in Lake City. Name tag that reads Diaz, because the full version reminds people of the news articles. Mom and Dad rent a 1-bedroom unit in White Center, the cheapest senior complex that still accepts Section 8 vouchers. Dad sold his truck to cover the first month's rent. Mom's book club stopped calling. They eat mostly canned soup and whatever's on sale at grocery outlet. I heard from a mutual acquaintance they keep the thermostat at 58 to save on the electric bill. They never ask about Wyatt. I never offer. Some Saturdays I drive Wyatt to the San Juan Islands. We walk the beaches barefoot even when it's cold. Hunt for sand dollars. Eat fish and chips out of paper baskets at the pier. He talks nonstop now. About school. About soccer tryouts. About the Lego rocket he's designing. His second-grade teacher sent home a note last week. Wyatt has shown remarkable improvement in focus and confidence. I keep that note on the fridge, next to his latest AFL reading test. People ask if I miss them. My own parents. My only brother. The answer is simple. I miss the idea of them. I miss the version that existed before greed turned them into strangers. But the people who sat in my kitchen plotting to drug my child for profit, those people were never family. Blood doesn't buy loyalty. And it sure doesn't excuse betrayal. 2. If you're reading this and you feel that knot in your stomach because something in your house doesn't feel right, listen to it. Document everything. Protect your kids first. Ask questions later, because the people closest to you are sometimes the ones capable of the deepest cuts, and the law can't fix a childhood that's already been stolen. 2. Wyatt and I are building a new normal. Just the two of us. Our rules, our laughter, our home. Some nights he still crawls into my bed after a bad dream. I hold him until his breathing evens out. Then I stare at the ceiling and remind myself we made it through the worst. The rest is just living.